going forward. Next year, what are they going to look like? Because we are an earthquake-prone country. We're all going to bear the brunt of that, aren't we, James?
Well, I like to think that we are earthquake-prone, so something like this was always going to happen. It should be built into those premiums, But when we do get a bit of a shock out of these sorts of things, then it does bring back reality that these things do happen. In 1 in 100 events, then they do happen every 100 years at some point. So I couldn't say whether we're going to see an increase or not. But
surely we're going to have to, are we not, Murray? What do you think?
Yeah, I would think the insurance companies will take a bit of a pasting on this, and they'll seek to recover the losses that they make on this. I just can't see that premiums will stay where they are.
How do they move forward from this, James?
Well, I guess in some ways there's going to be an injection into some of those areas. One through the depending on where depositors are from South Canterbury, money coming back into that particular area. But there has been a huge shake-up, and farmers are going to have to move on, and those rural communities are going to have to move on, and they're going to have to there may be some issues with finance. They'll be looking for other areas to get that.
There's been an incredible amount, of course, of rural lending to farmers down there. Who's going to step up now and pick up the slack, Murray?
Well, I would imagine the trading banks will end up doing more lending. If they don't want to do it naturally, I think they'll get lent on by the government to make sure that farmers in Canterbury have the necessary finance to keep on farming. And it would be absolutely disastrous if people had to get off the farms because a bank wouldn't lend them the money. So, perhaps James can go back to head office and tell them to open up the money bags.
Send the word, send the word. Yeah. Of course, more bad news for Alan Hubbard this week. 2 more of his charities have been put into statutory management. Murray, your take on that?
Well, I think it's just a natural fallout of everything that's happened. I mean, I don't think anything can disappoint him now. I mean, his reputation seems to be in tatters. Once your reputation's in tatters, it can't get any worse. I think the governments or the statutory managers must have found some things that they wanted to take control of, and so they've done it.
And he's involved in an incredible amount of companies, over 1,600 I've read. Are they all going to go under the microscope, do you think?
Well, they may go under the microscope. Every loan will go under the microscope, and so the receivers of South Canterbury Finance will be calling back loans where they can, although they won't be able to call them back unless the borrower defaults on the terms of the contracts.
What kind of effect do you both think that this will have on investor confidence among the farming community now going forward?
I think it's going to have a huge impact, and I think Mr. Hubbard's had a great reputation, especially in the South Island, with investors, and that's going to be in question, of course, now. And it's probably in tatters in a lot of ways, and so that's going to have a big impact on investor confidence in general, and for the overall New Zealand economy, for non-bank deposit takers, for equity markets. People had a real hurry up over the past 2 years. They're still in the back of their minds, sort of 87 and that sort of thing. So I think this is going to have some big impacts.
And it couldn't have happened at a worse time, could it? The quake. Who would have thought it? 2 major financial disasters, boom, boom, hitting the farmers. How long is it going to take to get out from under this, Murray?
Can I plead the Fifth Amendment or claim it's too early to tell?
It's still too early to tell.
It's still too early to tell. I mean, the quake was only, 10 or 11 days ago. To actually be able to figure out today what the impact of that over time is going to be is just an impossible task. I don't think anybody can do it. And that's why you see with the numbers that Treasury is coming out with, they're round numbers. 1 billion, 2 billion, 1 billion, you add it up and it comes to 4 billion. Whenever you see an economist giving a round number, you know they're guessing.
There may be some good news for Beef and Lamb New Zealand, according to their latest report. Give me a synopsis.
Yeah, beef and lamb probably not seeing a lot of change in the year ahead from what we've seen in the past year, to be honest. Probably beef prices around similar levels, lamb prices around similar levels too. For the people at the farm gate, average might actually be slightly down. So probably not a lot of change in the year ahead.
All right, hold that thought. We'll be back. Thanks, gentlemen. Coming up after the break, how do we stack up against the rest of the world when it comes to how well we do business? But first, answer this in our Farmers' Facts and Figures quiz. Which 3 countries are the top-ranked nations for global competitiveness? The answer right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Money Talks. Just before the break, we asked you which 3 countries are the top-ranked nations for global competitiveness. The answer, Switzerland, Sweden, and Singapore. New Zealand ranked 23 out of the 139 countries polled, according to the World Economic Forum's annual report. We dropped 3 places from last year. We do well in freedom from corruption, ease of setting up a business, sound banks, and good education. But apparently we rate poorly for the brain drain, high interest rates, lack of local competition, poor innovation, poor advanced technology, and poor availability of scientists and engineers. What do you make of this, Murray?
Well, I don't think it's surprising. We're a country of 4 million people. We're really, the way I describe our position in the world is that we're the bus terminus. I mean, we're not on the way to anywhere. And as a result, I think we're going to suffer always relative to some of the bigger countries better placed geographically in the world.
We were at number 23, James. I see Australia is at number 16. Is this just one more example of how wide the gap is becoming between our 2 countries?
Well, I mean, we compare ourselves against Australia, but they're much bigger than us, much bigger population. We've got mineral resources. You know, there's a lot of benefits that Australia has that we don't perhaps have. But, you know, and it's hard for us to try and keep up with them. Their economy's, you know, going pretty well, and you know, we're sort of lagging behind. We're probably going to do that for a while yet. And
I wonder, Murray, how long before we see China up in the top 3? What are you picking?
Well, I'm not sure they'll ever get to the top 3, but they'll get into they'll soar up the list. They are where the action is in the world in this period of history. And so, you know, how long does it take them to get there? Can't be sure, but it'll be sooner rather than later.
And they may not be on the top 3 list perhaps for this survey, but who cares? They'll be raking in the dough, right? What does it all mean anyways?
Yeah, well, they're already the 2nd largest economy in the world, you know. 20 years and they'll be the largest economy. This is where all the growth is going to be, and continue to be that way. It's good that we're close to them, and we've got ties into the Chinese economy already. Now,
I see that Wellington cafes are going to up their prices once the GST increases come in, not by 2%, Murray, but by up to 14%. Is this too greedy, and are we going to see it everywhere else?
Well, I'm sure lots of people will say that you know, says that they're being greedy. I think if I was a coffee bar, I'd actually go back and show what the real price of a coffee has been over time. I think it probably went to, you know, $3.50 several years ago, and it hasn't gone up since then. I think the price of a coffee in a coffee bar will be extremely lumpy, and you know, the next price point after $3.50 is $4, and I think we just got to get over it. Coffee costs have gone up, you know, rents have gone up, all their costs have gone up. And I'd be pretty certain that the real price of a coffee has actually gone down over the last 10 or 15 years.
Apparently they're saying that the price of raw coffee beans has gone up 35% the past 3 months. Is this possible?
Yeah, it is. I mean, when we look at grains and other commodity prices, and they've been gone up significantly. Coffee being one of those commodities that has spiked a lot. You know, there's talk about what's going on with supply, but I mean, of course, the other main ingredient being milk. Milk prices have gone up significantly too. Whether or not those coffee places have you know, put their prices up when milk prices and coffee prices have gone up, then that's another question. So, you know, this might be an opportunity and just a timely way of putting their prices up, because their own costs have gone up.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. From the bankers of Basel to the back 40 in 30 minutes. Thanks to my guests, ASB Rural economist James Shortall and principal of Financial Focus, Murray Weatherston. We'd love to hear your feedback, so drop me a line on our website. And remember to check out my weekly blog. We'll give the last word to Mother Nature, and she sure has a lot to answer for. And often a picture is worth 1,000 words. As Canterbury farmers struggle to rebuild their lives, their livelihoods, and their land following the gut-ripping devastation of the quake, it may be of some small comfort to know that their comrades in rural America also faced and eventually overcame the fury of an economic disaster, the Great Depression, from the stock market crash of 1929 through to America's entry into the war in 1941. As you reflect on these images, remember the wise words, "This too shall pass." Keep the faith. See you next time.